Hi, I'm Tom Johnson. I'm president of the Great Eastern Trail Association. I'd like to tell you a little bit about the trail and how it got started. The idea was one broached by Earl Schaefer, the first thru hiker of the Appalachian Trail in 1952. Only 4 years after he had finished thru hiking the trail, he sent a letter to his brother John. Said that there were some trails out to the west of the AT, and if you strung those together, you would have a new Appalachian Trail on the East Coast. The idea was kind of fell to the background for years. And then in 1969, Stan Murray, who was the head of the Appalachian Trail Conference Board of Managers, brought up the idea at the formation day of the Tennessee Trail Association. So this was 1969. So Stan Murray had still remembered that idea that Schaefer had, and he said the Tennessee Trail Association was committed to building a trail called the Cumberland Trail, and that would become part of this, what they were calling the Western Appalachian Alternative. And so the idea then receded again into the background until the year 2000, until a PATC member by the name of Lloyd McCaskill wrote an article about this Western Appalachian Alternative for the Appalachian Trailway News. I read the article and I remembered it. I was a longtime member of the board of directors of the American Hiking Society, which is a national advocacy group for hiking. And in 2003, AHS, American Hiking Society, was expanding its reach, and they had just opened a branch office in Chattanooga, Tennessee. The mission of that office was to bring together all the little trail groups in the Southeast. They were calling it the Southeast Initiative. And at the first meeting, the executive director of the Cumberland Trail Conference, which was doing the Cumberland Trail, brought up this idea that he had heard from Stan Murray and said, some of the trails that we have in the Southeast would become part of the Western Appalachian Alternative. Since I was on the board of directors, I was reading the minutes that came from the meeting, and I sent that person, the executive director of the Cumberland Trail Conference, an email. Said, why don't we do it now? And that's how we got started. So we formed an organization in 2003, which eventually in 2007 morphed into the Great Eastern Trail Association. We didn't want to call it the Western Appalachian Alternative. We didn't want to have the word Appalachian in the name because people might get confused with the Appalachian Trail. So we wanted a new name, and after about 6 months of great controversy and emails back and forth and 4 teleconferences all up and down the East Coast, we came up with the name Great Eastern Trail. And in 2007, we formed the Great Eastern Trail Association. Just this year, we got our 501c3, so we are a federal nonprofit. The Great Eastern Trail consists of a series of trails that already existed. What we have to do is link them together, and when we started in 2003, we had 5 gaps. We are now down to 2 gaps. We have at least selected the route for all the gaps but 2. And one of the gaps, which no longer exists, was a gap from the Tuscarora Trail in Northern Virginia down to the Allegheny Trail in West Virginia. It was a 150-mile gap that we have already closed, all except for 7 miles. Those 7 miles remain to be constructed, and 6 of those miles is on Carr Mountain, which is a remote ridge in a roadless area between North Mountain and Shenandoah Mountain. We have already constructed over a mile of trail, so we have less than 5 miles to do on Carr Mountain. This morning we are right in the middle of a work trip that's been going on now already for 2 days. And we are going to Side Hill, a trail up to Beach Lick Knob, which will get us about to the halfway point of this trail. Another segment of this 150-mile link between the Tuscarora and the Allegheny is Shenandoah Mountain. It is a very long ridge line that starts just west of Carr Mountain and goes south all the way from the North River Ranger District down to the Warm Springs Ranger District, down near Warm Springs, Virginia. And there are some very pristine areas of Shenandoah Mountain that really need to be preserved. It has long trail walks without any road crossings at all. It is my favorite part of the Great Eastern Trail. There are some spectacular overlooks, but mostly it is just spectacular wilderness, and it's the kind of wilderness that you don't see very often in the East anymore.